Representative Buckner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 20-1048.
To the bill. Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L002 and ask that it be displayed.
The motion, oh, let's see.
It's your birthday.
The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment, members, you should all have it on your desk. You should have had it last week, but this amendment basically goes through and adds a legislative declaration, changes the short title to the Crown Act of 2020. It also clarifies the definition that we are only talking about hairstyles, not other traits associated with race. It clarifies that school districts cannot waive out of the Crown Act, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on L002? Seeing none, the question before us is adoption of L002. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. L002 is adopted. Are there any further second reading amendments?
No.
Seeing none, to the bill. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank the bill sponsors for bringing this up. I think there is a lot of merit to what's being discussed today. And I also want to thank Representative Coleman, who was the committee chair that day, and trying to run a meeting that was packed, but also constrained to a pretty tight schedule. We got through a lot of testimony in a short amount of time. One of the things that was a little disappointing about it was that we didn't have enough time to talk more about what's going on, and I think that definitely had an impact on my vote as well as the vote of my colleagues. One of the reasons why I initially voted no on this bill was because I think, as I was looking at it, I wholeheartedly agree that racial discrimination is unacceptable and that nothing like that has any place in our society, whether it be in our businesses or our schools or what have you. Which is why we do have anti-discrimination laws on the books currently. And I think that's pretty much the reason why you saw some of the no votes come out of that committee, was that there are currently anti-discrimination laws on the books that we believe are adequate. And and I'll certainly ask the bill sponsor to elaborate more as to why those aren't adequate. But at this time, I would encourage everyone here to at least vote your conscience and realize that perhaps there is a need for this, but also recognizing at the same time that this might be redundant or duplicitous. And I'm just now noticing everyone's getting very quiet, so this is a great discussion here. So in any event, members, I definitely think this is a worthwhile discussion. I do appreciate the bill sponsors for bringing forward a bill to address discrimination that is still out there and trying to find ways to make sure that everyone in our society is treated equally and fairly. Thank you.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1048? Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank Representative Williams for coming forward. I want to be clear that we're not just adding something to law just for the fun of it. The federal court said that hairstyles were not a trait that was protected under our non-discrimination codes. That case was brought by the EEOC. So in order to have protection for women and men and people living outside of the gender binary who are of color, who have hair growing out of their hair a certain way and not be asked to cut it or straighten it, we need these protections in law. And so I do ask for a yes vote.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1048? Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just grab my notes, since there's no further discussion. So I want to just be clear, members, that we had over 100 people who came to the Capitol this week to the Business Affairs and Labor Committee to talk about this bill. But some of you guys who are watching the Oscars might have seen it on the Oscars last night too. It has a huge impact on people of color living in this country. And so to the director, Matthew Cherry, I want to say that Colorado is poised to becoming a state to pass the Crown Act I thank my colleagues on both sides of the aisle. To DeAndre Arnold, the young man who was kept from walking in his graduation because he was asked to cut his dreadlocks. We are making change because of you. And to Naima Young, the Denver cheerleader who was asked to change her hairstyle and straighten her hair or be kicked off the cheerleading squad, this bill is for you. And for all of the people who testified in person last week, who continue to struggle with this as an issue, this is for you. And so with that, I do ask for an aye vote on this bill.
Thank you very much. Is there further discussion on House Bill 1048? Seeing none, the question before us is Representative Buckner.
Thank you so much. We just want to thank all of you who have been so supportive of this Crown Act bill, the emails we've received, the texts we've received, and the in-person conversations we've received have been very, very encouraging. Last night, when the Oscar was given for the short animated film, my granddaughters were clapping. They were so excited because they have personally been impacted by their hair and how they wear their hair. In fact, at brunch yesterday, we had this discussion before the Oscars even came on. One of my granddaughters is of mixed race. She has hair down to her waist. My other granddaughter has very short, kinky hair, just like I had when I was a little girl. And we had a discussion about the differences in hair and how you are viewed. I just want to ask all of you something. Most of you have known me for 4 years. I wear my hair short. It's mixed gray. I wear it straight. You all, I think, believe that I am a legitimate legislator. I've been told that I'm easy to talk to. I've been told that I like to collaborate. I've passed a lot of bills. If I came in tomorrow with my hair in its natural form, and yes, when I wash my hair, if I didn't have a relaxer on it, I would have kinky hair. It would be curly, kinky, and it would shrink. Would you feel any different about me if I came in and my hair was in its natural state? Thank you. I'm trying to make a point here. Hair has nothing to do with my ability. It has nothing to do with my actions. Hair has nothing to do with my intelligence. So hair should not determine who I am and how I am perceived. So just want to put that out there for your train of thought right now. And I'm asking for an aye vote on this really important bill.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and I thank the bill sponsors for bringing this bill forward. The question that I have for the bill sponsors is this. As a member of the military for many, many decades, how does this affect junior ROTC in our schools? Military standards are different, and the military doesn't discriminate. But how is that going to impact our military standards? When you say that the military standard is this, and you have to cut your hair, and you have to have military standards, because that's a standard that we cannot diminish. So that's the first question. The next question I have is, I'm in production agriculture, and we work with a lot of tools and equipment. So safety, for example, safety in shop class, when you're using power tools or equipment. In the industry that I'm in, many, many pieces of equipment are operated with a power takeoff off a tractor. And there are hundreds and hundreds, potentially thousands of horsepower behind that equipment. Probably not in a high school. But I'll tell you, if that power takeoff gets a hold of you, you will die. You will die. So it's a safety issue. I'm not speaking against the bill. I'm talking about standards and safety right now. And then finally, I wrestled from the time I was about 6 years old till I was 19, competitively, all the way up to college until I didn't make the team. What's the impact on sports such as wrestling? Because when you wrestle, you have to have certain things that meet a standard that allows you to perform. And a lot of times it's you have to have your nails cut closely and you have to have short hair for a lot of safety reasons. So I offer that. I'd like the bill sponsors to please help me understand how we've addressed those things in this legislation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Herrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, I want to be clear that we don't have any control over what the military does or doesn't do. However, they have changed their code to make sure that things like dreadlocks and afros were allowed in the military. My mom, who was an officer in the Army, had to wear her hair cut short, right? That's fine. That would not be changed by this law. However, just like the young man in Texas, if you have it cut short and it follows every single other rule, you cannot tell them to cut their hair just because they're dreadlocks. And to the question about what happens when you're around heavy equipment, I don't know if y'all can see this, but I wear a hair tie around my wrist when it's windy or when I might be around something that might trap my hair, maybe a fan. You use a hair tie, you can tie your hair back. And when you tie your hair back, all of a sudden you have less risk. So that's why the Competitive Council is supporting this bill. That's why the pipe fitters are supporting this bill. That's why the electrical workers, and we've heard from people across industry who support this bill, because safety is not a reason to discriminate. We can actually put things in place, like hair ties, to make sure that people are safe. So with that, I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1048? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1048. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1048 is adopted. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill